Good afternoon. Commissioner Carter, I remember the first time you talked about this grant opportunity. You stated you were looking for a new way of doing business, a system that truly moved people out of poverty, a system that values relationships above transactions, people over programs. We have exactly what you talked about in our proposal today. I'm Mark Farley, Executive Director of the Upper Cumberland Human Resource Agency, and I'm joined by my coworker, Megan Spurgeon, the Project Director for our collaboration, and with Shaquana Wester, Youth Programs Coordinator for Highlands Residential Services. I'm proud to say that over the last 3 months, we have gathered information from over 500 individuals and families from across our region. And while what they shared with us only echoed the fact that the system is broken, they gave us great insights on how to make this system work more efficiently and effectively moving forward. As a best way to illustrate the true stories of our families and the frustrations they serve, Shaquana wants to share her story in this short video.
My parents separated, I think I was in about 7th grade, and we moved into public housing. And that was kind of where things started to change for me. It's when I started understanding the difference in how people were treated based on address, school, system, and services needed. At that time, I didn't really understand the struggle my mom was going through. I know she wanted to protect me, but a parent can only teach as much as they know. So, like with Empower UC, what if we had one person that consistently stays in the life of someone in poverty who really wants to change? With that, my whole entire life could have been different. The generational cycle could have been broken right there. Even though I was working, I was having a bit of a hard time getting by without child support, and I went to see if I could get services. I was told I would need to come in, receive job training on how to get a job, but I already had a job. So in order to receive services, I would have to quit the job that I have, give up that income, and I refused it. I don't feel like that made any sense at all. I was working in that field, the field that I already wanted to be in. So why would I quit that to come and receive help on how to do what I already had? I had already accomplished that for myself. For me to go forward, I had to go backward, and I'm not willing to go backwards. When you're dealing with the system and every single time you have to start your story over again, it's like a pride thing for me. I'm proud of who I am, and I'm proud of the mother I am, and every time I have to tell my story over and over to a different person, it's just like a notch down. It takes from you every time. I wanted to change the cycle for my children. We can have all the programs in the world, but if we don't teach people how to best use the resources, you just end up back in the same situation every single time. I'm blessed to work in public housing with kids who represent me. Everything that happens in my life, I try to find a way to take it and teach my kids and my families. I went from being a single mom, living in public housing, I've bettered myself through education, and I've worked myself off of rent assistance. I recently contacted someone to educate me on buying a home, and just last year I finally closed on a 2-story home. You could have never told me that that was something I could do.
While Shaquana is a true success story, while she's a true success story, her journey took far too long. Empower Upper Cumberland wants to change that. Today we're writing a new story for the families of the Upper Cumberland. Definitely something new to Tennessee, but proven in other states. A relationship-based model for social services and workforce development that moves people through the safety net and on to sustainable careers. And I'm going to go off script just a second. We've heard a lot about Memphis. We've heard a lot about Nashville. Empower Upper Cumberland is designed with the rural communities of Tennessee specifically in mind. After working on this project for the last 3 months, the vision of Empower Upper Cumberland is crystal clear. We demand prosperity for all. Prosperity for our families, for the businesses of our region, for that next generation of students that's in our schools, and yes, for the 14 unique rural communities that comprise the Upper Cumberland region. Our mission is to inspire and equip families, individuals, and communities to prosper. This $25 million investment will allow us to add new components and new dimensions to our current work. We'll be able to inject relationships as well as financial assistance. We'll be able to train our next generation towards sustainable career pathways. We'll be able to provide our employers with a stable and reliable workforce. And we believe that we'll be able to illustrate how to taper people off the financial cliff that exists today.
The families that we plan to serve through this initiative are similar to the family that I grew up in, the families that are trying to break free from the safety net. But we have to make the system smarter and easier for them to navigate than the maze that exists today. For our pilot project, we are targeting 10% of the children living at poverty level in the Upper Cumberland and their families. We are looking to serve 1,600 children and their 800 families to move them fully out of poverty through this pilot.
Our problem is obvious. The current safety net system in Tennessee is not working efficiently enough. We asked the parents of our Family Advisory Board what it was like when they went to apply for services, and what they shared with us was shocking. They had to go to different offices and talk to different staff and share their stories over and over again. They had to answer the same questions on different forms over and over again. They had to share their IDs, their birth certificates, their socials over and over again. Make no mistake, the Upper Cumberland region is rich in resources. But in the past, we've lacked that established shared vision for success. But not anymore. We're ready for a change. Megan, please describe Empower Upper Cumberland.
Throughout the past 3 months, our Family Advisory Board and our planning team has designed an innovative, streamlined approach to serving families to move them through the 5 stages from crisis intervention to prosperity. Empower UC is first and foremost about moving families completely out of poverty. But something happens when they start going up that economic ladder. They reach an even more monumental issue. They reach the benefits cliff. The families that we met with through our Family Advisory Board told us stories about how they couldn't take bonuses, raises, or new jobs in the past because when they did, they lost so much in benefits that they went financially backwards. The partners in our collaboration have designed interventions to ensure that that won't be the case in our continuum of care. We are going to work on things such as financial mitigation. We're going to drop them down on a tiered percentage basis rather than the drastic drop that they currently receive. Also, we're going to wrap them with relationships, mentors, and allies. Shaquana said it best, you can give someone all the financial support in the world, but if you don't teach them how to use it and help them along the way, it's not going to have the end result that we had hoped for. We're going to better align our career and educational pathways so that families can see that line of sight of how to get to their goal with SMART goals along the way with their prosperity coaches. We also are engaging them with family engagement opportunities through workshops, classes, and other opportunities so that they can connect as a family as well as connect better with their communities. All the while, we will be preparing them for this benefits cliff and giving them the resources and tools that they need to be successful to overcome it through financial literacy as well as other opportunities. And in our goal, when they reach prosperity, they'll come back around and help support other families through this initiative as well.
Our theory of change is based on multiple sound assumptions, but one key point is that poverty is far more than just a lack of income or economic success. Poverty is sustained through environmental systems that create gaps and barriers. For our work to be successful, Empower Upper Cumberland has to move beyond the family level and truly implement community-wide system changes and address the inefficiencies that's in our current programs if we're to achieve an economy that truly works for everyone.
As a former case manager, I know firsthand how frustrating this system is. There's nothing better than having a great case manager, being yourself or someone on your team that only wants to bring families to where they want to be but keeps hitting blocks. And that's why we've introduced some of these components into our model. Circles USA is an evidence-based relationship program that has been out throughout hundreds of communities throughout the United States and Canada over the last 30 years. We're bringing Circles USA to all 14 counties in our rural economic region as a mechanism for relationship-based case management. Additionally, we have created Empower UC, a completely new collaborative effort that is tackling issues in our community, and currently, we're here to tackle poverty. We also are working with our employers. We have currently 602 commitments from our employers for interviews for families that are coming out of our continuum of care. We're also engaging our communities, our churches, and our other organizations in the communities who are at this point have designated 151 volunteers with equaling over 37,000 hours throughout this pilot initiative to help support these families and wrap them with relationships and mentorship opportunities so that they can be successful in meeting their goals. I don't know if everyone in this room knows this or not, but every different program, for the most part, has a different platform. There's Jobs for TN, there's VOS, there's Accent, there's a lot. I think we've counted over 10 different platforms in the Upper Cumberland alone, and none of these systems talk to each other. That's 10 different applications, 10 different plans, 10 different softwares, and it's a mess. It's no wonder it can't be successful. So because of that, we are designating a universal platform that will be able to open doors to talk to all these systems so that families can better be served. This is an example of a prosperity pathway that families can enter into our continuum of care. Not all families will use every intervention, but they can use whatever interventions are necessary for them based on the SMART goals that they establish with their prosperity coach. Circles USA is going to be led by our UCHRA team, where prosperity coaches work with families to bring them through this continuum of care. WCTE, our Central Tennessee PBS affiliate, will be providing youth engagement through their Ready to Learn initiative to help families be the first and primary teachers in a child's life. Tennessee Technological University is going to help clearly align educational pathways for this initiative. They're going to work with our 3 TCATs and our 4 community colleges in the region to make a better, clearly aligned way for families to go through higher education, should that be their goal. Our local Workforce Development Board will be providing poverty IQ training and smart talent training to our employers so that they can better understand the needs of our families and hire and retain them. Highlands Economic Partnership has developed a career training center that allows families both empower teens and empower parents to get hands-on skills as well as gain soft skills while earning a wage through contracts with local employers. Our faith-based community is completely behind this initiative. We had over 100 churches represented during our planning grant time, and when we told them what we were doing, they said, here's what we are going to do. We're going to provide marriage counseling. We're going to provide parent engagement. We're going to give these things for you, and this setup will make it easier for them to do that with our families. The Upper Cumberland Development District will be eliminating gaps and barriers at the system level for things like transportation, housing, and childcare, while Cookeville Regional Charitable Medical Center Foundation will be providing well-being services as well as acting as a mechanism for contributions for us to sustain this long-term. We are set to do this for many reasons, but the biggest is that our system issues can't be the problems of our families. We can't let them fall through the cracks, and with an aligned vision and aligned planning, we can make sure that families are able to make it past this benefits cliff. Looking at the TANF purposes, we are mainly focusing on TANF purpose 1 and 2, while our faith-based institutions will be tackling tenets 3 and 4. When we look at our Tennessee Department of Human Services outcomes, we plan to have 75% attainment for each of the for at least one subcategory per main category for the Department of Human Services. And similar to most other presentations today, our budget has a lot in professional fees for our partners in this collaboration. So because of that, we wanted to provide you with a true budget of what it looks like for our entire system. You can see that it's pretty much the same year over year. We have 31 to 32% in salaries, 11% in benefits and taxes, 11% in professional fees for that IT platform in our Circles USA model, 26% for internal costs such as occupancy and transportation, and 21 to 23% for our cliff mitigation and specific assistance fund.
Throughout the 3-year pilot program, we'll be implementing or transitioning our current programs to adopt these proven new techniques. And we believe by investing in this family-driven approach that years 4 through 6 and beyond can be sustained for roughly $3 million per year. Of that funding, half of it coming from existing funding streams, such as Community Services Block Grant, and the remaining coming through local fundraising through our community partners, our faith-based community, and our employers. We are absolutely convinced that we will do 2 things. We will prove this model successful, and we will prove this model scalable across the entire state of Tennessee. Ladies and gentlemen, with one voice, the Upper Cumberland region is ready for a change. We're ready for prosperity. We are ready.
I'm Amy New with the Cookeville-Putnam County Chamber of Commerce, and we are ready.
Paul Korth, CEO with Cookeville Regional Medical Center, and we are ready.
My name is Bob Young. I'm chairman of Upper Cumberland Workforce Development Board, and we are ready.
I'm Phil Oldham, president of Tennessee Tech University,
And we're ready.
Hi, I'm Randy Haiti, Jackson County Mayor, and on behalf of the mayors of the Upper Cumberland region, we're ready.
We're ready for questions.
Can I start with, can you share with us what from your perspective is different and innovative about UC's approach, different from the existing order?
We contend that everything we're implementing in this program is new and innovative. It's programs that we don't currently have in existence. The Signature Program is the Circles USA model, a relationship-based model for helping families work through the social service network and the workforce network. They've got a proven record. With their assistance, we believe that we'll be able to replicate their successful work across the United States in the Upper Cumberland region.
Hey, thanks for coming. I think, well, I was going to say I think you traveled the furthest, but I don't know. Memphis is kind of far too. But thanks for coming. One technical question, one process question. The technical question is you reference well-being services through the Cookeville Regional Foundation. What does that mean?
Yeah, so Cookeville Regional Charitable Medical Center Foundation is the only foundation that we have in the Upper Cumberland. They are a part of the regional hospital, which is also our only hospital for the region. So, well, mainly the only hospital for the region. They have access to funds to help support individuals who are unable to pay their medical bills, as well as giving courses and classes and information on health and well-being. They do several different events throughout the year that we could fold into this.
Okay, so to clarify, that's not paying for health services.
No,
it's helping.
not.
Okay, got
We're
it.
not paying.
The process question is how you identify and enroll folks. How do they learn about this? How do they get in the pipeline?
Absolutely. So we have created a website, empoweruppercumberland.org, that will have a portal for these families to apply in directly that will hopefully drop down into all the other applications as well to pre-fill those applications for down the road when they're receiving services. They can be referred in from housing authorities like our Highlands Residential Services. They can be referred in from churches, businesses, and also we have a pretty strong marketing effort as well for this that we believe that they will be able to enroll in and apply for. And then from there it goes through being assigned to a prosperity coach who is able to provide the assessments for them as well as verifying the information is correct and accurate that they're eligible for services. And then it also is data reviewed from our data specialists that will ensure that the information is accurate and will pass monitoring purposes. And then from there, they develop their SMART goals and begin working their plan. And our prosperity coaches are completely, this is a little bit unique as well, their schedules are not a typical Monday through Friday 8 to 4:30. They have what we're calling a 980 schedule where they would work altering hours to where they can meet the families at night and on weekends when they're most in need. And they're also completely remote. They are able to work out of churches, out of American Job Centers, out of HRA offices, so that's a little bit different as well.
One thing I would add to that, we have a couple great partners in our churches and our employers, and both of them have come to us saying, we need your help working with either our church members or our employees. We had one of our local employers come to us and said on one of their shifts, they had 25 people that were living in their cars or were homeless. How can we help that? And that was early on in this process. So we're thinking about those things. How do we reach out to our employers to work with their existing employees to make sure they've got what they need? Our churches are the other ones. They have really bought into this program. They see the ability through a structured way to implement some large-scale changes, starting through their membership, and then using that to extend out and grow their base. So.
Both those things make a lot of sense. Two questions. First of all, thank y'all for being here and for all the obvious work that went into the presentation. How many times did you practice that? Yeah, it's pretty good. Don't tell me.
We may have been at the Rotary yesterday.
This is the first time. So first question is, we saw the graphic on the benefits cliff and kind of lessening that slope. Talk to us a little bit about how that works, how you see that working.
So the way we intend for that to work is when families start losing benefits, that we would pick that benefit up and tier it down for them. So we're already going to have the line of sight and awareness through, as many have spoke about today, the Atlanta Federal Reserve Calculator. They have a working relationship with Circles USA as it is. They meet monthly. All the Circles chapters meet with the Atlanta Federal Reserve on a monthly basis. So that's part of the assessment period to begin with. So we know when it's coming, but we also plan on tiering it down, which is something that we do with our 2-gen program currently. We provide childcare at the first month at 100% and then tier it down to 90, 75. And our family advisory board told us it's not about the money. We would take someone helping us and showing us what to do and how to do it correctly 100 times out of 100 rather than being given the money. So that's where those relationships come in.
And I'm going to add, I'm not going to lie, we may have been out in a break trying to develop our own calculator right quick on the iPad. You can't do that in less than 10 minutes.
Very impressive.
My second question real quick is this common IT platform. Talk to us a little bit about that as well.
So we've been in talks with a platform developer through a well-being care system from eTransX, and they have both a mobile application as well as a digital platform. And Tennessee Technological University has also offered through one of their courses to do the data mining and profiling for this platform during the interim between award and when the grant actually starts, so that the profile is there so that they can work with these different groups to get them under one. This actually came about as a brainchild. I'm sure everyone's thought about this forever, but in March of 2020, I started with Upper Cumberland Human Resource Agency, and we all know what happened. Literally, the tornado was the night that I started, and it's been crazy ever since, obviously. And the biggest thing that we ran into was at the time of unemployment, when the extra benefit kicked in, we're providing these other services. The American Job Centers are not in our building. We didn't know how much people were getting. So they're asking for rent. We don't know how much you're getting in unemployment. And that was the first time I was like, this doesn't make sense. Why are we not all in a system where we can at least know what else is happening and work together? So that platform developer has ways and has a design in place, and I believe some of that information may be in the proposal.
Could you talk to me just a minute about what relationship-based case management is? I mean, every case manager I know says that relationship's the most important thing, and so I thought it was all relationship case management. So can you tell me what makes yours special?
Well, I will tell you this, as a former case manager, you often don't have time to have a relationship because of the extensive caseload that you do have. A lot of the times it's checking boxes and doing the best you can and giving a smile, but you don't really have the time to commit and have that type of relationship. And that's what we're focusing on with our prosperity coaches, having a much smaller caseload size that they're able to have that close relationship. And additionally, the Circles USA model is very volunteer driven. The way it works is a 12-week program where families come at night. I actually visited one in LaGrange, Georgia this past fall, and it was really cool to see. Everyone comes together for dinner. The children go off and do curricular activities and all that good stuff. And then the parents are able to focus on themselves, focus on their goal setting and how they're going to get there. And they have different allies from the community. So if I were wanting to go into nursing school, they would connect them with people who are in the medical field to help increase that engagement and to help increase their possibilities.
Circles not only measures financial outcomes, it measures the number of relationships you grow in a person's life. And I think that's going to be one of the biggest blessings to this program is we're not just giving them money, we're giving them people in their life that's going to make that difference.
Can you tell me your name again, please? Shaquan, how is what is being proposed here different from the journey that you navigated to get through the challenges you were facing?
So one of the things that they told me, because I'll be honest, when they first came to me, I was like, oh, here goes another person that's going to save people, and that's what it ends up being, another program. So it took some convincing, and when I heard, I work with youth, and I don't know if any of you have heard of ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences. So what I do is I work with youth in low-income housing, which is where I lived. It takes one person to stay in someone's life consistently to change those outcomes. So these kids come to me in kindergarten, and as long as they are in housing, and even after they move out, they still have me. I become their mom. I'm a foster mother of a child right now that was in my program. When they talk to me about having one person that you would kind of go to, and that's kind of your navigator to help you. One of the things that I had with these programs, I was in one that gave me money. They matched my money. I was able to buy Photoshop. I bought a computer. I bought all of this stuff, and then they were like, you graduated. I didn't know how to open my business or do anything. I was LLC all of these things were thrown at me, and no one followed me all the way through. They're talking about following these families all the way through and not just leaving them. So you don't make it to the middle of the bridge, you make it to the end of the bridge. And for me, what I'm seeing is sustainability. And that means everything to me. I've been through so many programs that just kind of left me. I've lived in a THDA HUD home, and then I was an AmeriCorps volunteer. That helped me to get out of that. I've been through a lot of things, but I'm 45 and just now finally seeing some closure in where I'm at. And that's why it's important to me to come into something like this and to be able to give back to the community. If I never make it, if I'm able to help one other person who is me to make it through and to be sustainable, then I'm in.
I might add to what makes our program different is going beyond just the crisis. In all reality, most of us deal with the crisis situations going on in people's life, but we don't take it to that next level as they continue to move on. And that's where I think our program will be different. One other thing is having that stable person in their life, that prosperity coach that's traveling with them. Other programs may take a different approach where they bring technical people. They may have 4 or 5 people that's bringing these resources. We think it's best if you have one. So that's our approach.
Thank you all very much once again. And since we've got you here and watching the video, Commissioner Carter is new enough to the job that we can talk about some historical perspective of your interactions with the Department of Human Services and the repetitive story you had to tell over and over to this person, that person, that person, that person. It sounds like we need a true partnership with Department of Human Services in what this plan is proposing, that we need to streamline the department in the interactions that we're having at a state level in order to make this work. Can you talk a little bit more about that, about your experiences there?
So again, just when you're coming in and you're having to ask someone for help and you're bearing I was more nervous than they were up here just because even now I'm exposing myself. And a lot of it, of course, was my choices, things that I could have done differently, for sure. But when you find yourself having to go in and you're filling out the papers, and I'm not just saying in asking for like SNAP and TANF, but that's even public housing. All of these people want to know the same thing. They need to know your income. They need to know how many kids you have. They need to know you're turning in all of these papers. You're putting yourself out there, and then you come back the next time and you're seeing somebody else, and you once again, if I just knew that this person knows me, and I think that you'll have more success too if you know how many times I've come in, if you know how far I made it, if you know that every time I get a job that I'm quitting, and this could have been a job that could have really, I could have made it somewhere. If you know those things about me, then maybe you can even help navigate and keep me on track, if that makes any sense to you. I just think that if we can make it more streamlined for the people and also for you, then you're going to be saving money too. It could be going somewhere else. If we just had a way of, I don't know. I don't have the.
No, I
don't know. I'm like.
You said exactly what we needed to hear, and I think Commissioner wants to address something. I want to shift just a second before we come back to that issue. You're the only presentation that we heard year 4, 5, 6, and that was refreshing that we heard year 1, 2, 3 in the program, but you also talked about the cost of potential year 4, 5, 6 at $3 million a year, which I appreciated that. So I just want to make that comment. I think Commissioner Carter wants to go back to your concerns.
The very issue, and I think that this is a perfect place for us to wrap up today, the very issue that you talk about having to go through multiple different doors, tell that story time and time again. That is an issue that the Department of Human Services began to tackle 5 years ago, okay? And we engaged in a replatforming effort, which the idea of it was to honor our consumer, to understand that that we need to have a relationship with our consumer that allows them to tell their story one time and then to navigate all of the benefits, goods, and services that we offer. I would tell you that we just opened a customer portal. Prior to that customer portal, you had to have 18 different phone numbers in DHS. 18 different phone numbers, one agency, okay? How stupid is that, okay? Representative Hawk, don't ever be shy about. I own that the human services system that this nation has created is stupid, okay? It just is, all right? And, you know, we're well-intended, but somebody said the road to hell is paved with good intentions, okay? So yes, we had to have some fundamental reordering of who we are and what we're doing, and we are now prepared through all of our transformation and replatforming efforts to now focus on exactly what we're talking about now. How do we help grow that consumer beyond the vulnerability that has them need these supports? So I think that DHS is prepared to be the perfect partner to all of our opportunity grant winners to be able to showcase a Tennessee which is dedicated to everybody thriving. So with that, folks, thank you so very much.